Il y a déjà 25 ans, en 1984, le jeune écrivain Joe Diver débutait les aventures de Loup Solitaire, qui allait devenir l'une des plus célèbres gammes de livres dont vous êtes le héros. Plutôt que des histoires indépendantes, Joe Diver eut l'idée de conter une grande saga, le lecteur-joueur gagnant expérience et équipement au fil des tomes. Un jeu de rôle solo, en somme. Loup Solitaire se déroule dans l'univers de Maniamund et raconte l'histoire du dernier maître Caille, une caste de puissants moines guerriers. Les maîtres Caille ont été exterminés par les légions des maîtres des ténèbres. Seul un jeune novice, loup silencieux, échappe au carnage et parvient à avertir le roi de l'invasion imminente. Et c'est ainsi que commence la saga de celui qui prendra le nom de Loup Solitaire.
I discovered Dungeons and Dragons in the sort of late 70s and had a eureka moment. I thought, this is just what I need to really transform my campaign, which was a historical campaign, into something a bit special, into something that was magical, had a magical component to it. So that's how it originated, that's the early days. Gary was my first choice of illustrator when I produced the books, and we were both working at Games Workshop at the time, so this was back in 1983. And I wrote the first book, and it's based on the world I'd created. And then I invited Gary to come in as illustrator on the story. So although I wrote all of the books, Gary did all of the early illustrations, and that's how we worked. I would write the book, I would give it to Gary, he would do the illustrations, and I'd get on and write the next book. And that's how we worked on the first 8 books.
Loup Solitaire est également devenu un vrai jeu de rôle, publié en français par les éditions du Grimoire. L'édition française témoigne d'ailleurs de l'attachement particulier des Français pour l'univers créé par Joe Diver.
Gary's been very closely involved with Le Grimoire here because Gary lives in France. So he's local to their offices, which makes it very easy for him to work with them. Le Grimoire have a group of editors and writers that really know the world of Lone Wolf in great detail. And nowadays, I work very closely with Le Grimoire's team. So they will send me a list of questions every week and requiring detailed answers. And then I'll spend some time each week answering those, going back to my records of the world that I created all those years ago, and then giving them the answers. Then they'll do their work, and that's how our process works. So they ask questions, I answer the questions, and they turn the questions into the new text. So a lot of work is being originated here in France now, and not just through Mongoose in the UK.
Mais en dehors de son travail d'écrivain, Joe Diver a également été game designer pour plusieurs jeux vidéo. Ground Control 2, De Sang-Froid ou encore Killzone. Un travail qui n'est pas si différent de l'écriture d'un livre-jeu.
I wasn't surprised to see the transformation from the Lone Wolf game books to a computer game scenario, because essentially the scripting is the same. And the scripting that I've done a lot of computer game work since 1996 as well, design work, and essentially it's the same process. You're giving directions to the player, you're telling the player what's happening to them. So you're creating the environment that the player then has a lot of choices that they can make, so you can see the similarities.
Ce n'était donc qu'une question de temps avant que les aventures de Loup Solitaire ne séduisent les développeurs de jeux vidéo. Évidemment, Joe Diver lui-même participa à l'aventure, mais des complications imprévues faillirent bien mettre un terme prématuré au projet.
The Lone Wolf video game started about 2.5 years ago. The production company was based in Singapore, and I was commissioned to act as lead designer on the role. Now the job of a lead designer typically is very similar to the role of a scriptwriter in a film. So the idea is you've got to come up with the vision of the finished game, and then write the necessary documents for the art department and for the programming department to do their job. So I'm very familiar with this process, and I've done a lot of computer games work since 1996, and on some pretty well-known titles like Killzone, for instance. So I'm very familiar with the process of computer games design, and obviously a first choice to do the game that I wrote in the early days anyway. And then in March of this year, there were financial problems. The financial backers couldn't basically complete the financing of the film. They'd been hit very badly during the current recession. But fortunately, another company from Japan stepped in and said, we will pick up the production on this. And production has since transferred from Singapore to Tokyo. So the game inevitably will be delayed because of this financial hiccup. But it will come out, fortunately. And I take some comfort from the fact that it will be a better game because there's more money involved to finance it. And also, we'll be catering for the newer generation of consoles as well. So a better game will result, even though we all have to wait a little bit longer for it.
D'après nos sources, ce fameux studio japonais ne serait autre que Red Entertainment, plus connu pour sa série Sakura Wars. Gageons que l'on entendra très bientôt reparler du dernier maître Kai sur nos machines de jeu.